something to eat? Good morning. It's amazing to have everybody here today. I'm Danny Glazer, Program Director of the Green Business Partnership. I will introduce our staff in a little bit. But I'm going to start by introducing John Rabitz. John, who is the Vice President and COO of the Business Council of Westchester, to begin the opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. We're very excited as the Business Council of Westchester and the leading business membership organization for economic development and advocacy. The Green Business Partnership is one of our signature programs. We're so proud of the fact that a little over 10 years ago, the county and the Business Council of Westchester started this public-private partnership to really begin the conversation of how businesses can become more sustainable, how they can engage their employees in the process, and how they can actually help their bottom line by doing some of the practices that at first the challenge that Danny and Scott and their team had created could give them, and then the certification program that grew out of that. And today to have a company like JLL, and we're so proud that there are members of the Business Council of Westchester. Chris O'Callahan is former board chair of the Business Council of Westchester and sits on our executive committee and our full board. The fact that Don Bucci has really made a real key point of saying that Westchester is very important to their organization, means a lot to the Business Council of Westchester, and the fact that one of our own, Meg Curtin, now works with JLL makes today even more special. But today we are able to bring to you a leading company who, again, understands the importance of sustainability and has actually implemented so many different ways that businesses can really be engaged in that process, and by leading by example. So we're very excited to hear from them today. Thank you all for coming. Please spread the word about this program. Let people know, your colleagues, folks that you're engaged in, let them know that this is a program that really can make a difference to their organization. And again, thank you all for being here and have a great holiday season.
Okay, so next I'd like to call up Peter McCart, Westchester County, from the Westchester County Executive Office, and you can say your title.
Okay. My title.
Your title.
My title has no conservation. I'm the Director of Sustainability and Energy Conservation, so it's quite a title. But I do represent George Latimer, and sorry he can't be here today, but you know he's obviously fully supportive of this program.
That's George.
George later. I do not have George's gift for the gab, so this is going to be very short and sweet, of course. We're very proud to be co-sponsors here of the Green Business Partnership. I do want to say that we are relaunching basically a climate action plan, but we have changed the title of this to Climate Crisis Task Force. So we have already begun. We've pinpointed the sectors. The sector leads have been established. They're now filling out their teams. If you are interested, you can either contact me or go through the county executive. Janet Harcum is also here. She's going to be, she's right back here. She's co-chairing this. She's come from the Climate Reality Project. Her and Anjali Sauthoff, who is a PhD in sustainability, as well as Beth Sauerhoff. The names are very similar. But it was 10 years ago that the county executive at the time, it was Spano, thought it was best, and it was very smart. They came up with a climate action plan, and there was a lot of people, probably people here in the room. I was involved with it. I know you guys were, Scott, were very involved with it. And it's an amazing document. It's still alive. It's still out there. You can get it on the website. And from that, the Green Business Partnership pretty much rose out of that need. Am I somewhat correct on that? Yeah. Yeah, and it's still going on. So very proud of that. I'm sure you guys are. And is it 10 years? You're celebrating your 10th year. Climate Crisis Task Force. Get involved. And thank you very much. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to the Business Council. And thank you to Jane and Con Ed for being a big sponsor of this. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Peter. Speaking of Jane, would you like to come up and say a few words? Jane Solnick, Director of Public Affairs, Westchester for Con Edison, and a founding sponsor of the Green Business Partnership.
Good morning, everyone, and happy holidays. As was mentioned here, for any of you that don't know, yes, it is 10 years that this has been going on. I have been involved with this group. Con Edison was a part of this right from the get-go, but I have to tell you all, it's been a wonderful public-private partnership between the Business Council, Westchester County, Con Edison, and all the other supporters from the community who have gotten involved. We've seen the organization grow tremendously, do some wonderful things. Some companies have really stepped forward, and I have to thank both Danny and Scott for the leadership of that, because that's how we've seen it grow. Con Edison, a lot of people say to me, I know many of you in this audience have heard me say this before, why is Con Edison involved in this? You know, we want to sell power. The reality is, yes, we want to serve your power needs, but at the same time, we're very concerned about the sustainability of our communities, and we don't want to build excessive infrastructure for no reason. You don't want it in your backyard. We don't need to build it. We want to save our communities, so together we can work to be sustainable. I just want to take the opportunity too, if I can point out, Con Edison is a big supporter of sustainability, environmental conservation, and as a part of that, to get our communities to grow, we also are a big supporter of STEM education throughout Westchester County. We work very strongly with Westchester Community College. We have programs here, but we are bringing, I want you to all put it on your calendar and to tell all of your neighbors and friends, we're bringing, in conjunction and partnership with Westchester County, a free program on February 2nd that's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be at the county center. It's called City of Science, and you can bring your children, and they're going to get to do hands-on, super huge things. They're going to walk on water, so please put it on your calendar and join us. And again, thank you for all that you participate in this and making this program grow.
And now I'd like to ask Charles McGinnis to come up. He's the Division Coordinator for Workforce Development for Westchester Community College.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Vice President Terry Weissel for Workforce Development Community Education, as well as our President, Dr. Belinda Miles, we welcome you to the Gateway Center here at Westchester Community College. The work you guys do with the Green Business Partnership and the initiatives are so important to the community, to the college, to everyone as we go about just our daily lives. So we're super glad to have you here again. This is an awesome speaker series, and we're just excited. Happy holidays and have a good day.
Okay, so I'm actually going to talk a little bit about the Green Business Partnership before I bring Hrisa up for her presentation. Just to the right. I do. So I'd like our team to stand up. Scott Fernquist, Ethan Kravitz, Rachel Carpatella. Jana is not here. She's actually today in Slovakia, but lives in New Hampshire, but a key part of our team. And we have this amazing team that is behind the Green Business Partnership. Scott is my co-program director along with Jana. Ethan is the director of membership, so all of our members get trained by him and get check-ins from him, and he also runs the internship program. And Rachel Carpatella is the newest member of our program. We're delighted to have her. She's the director of business development, so anybody thinking about joining the program should speak to Rachel. So as you've been hearing, this is a public-private partnership. The founding partners of the program are the Business Council of Westchester, Westchester County Government, and my company, Green Team Spirit. This program was born out of the Westchester County Climate Action Plan that was issued in 2008. So what do we do? Well, who are we? So we are a certification program, kind of rigorous and very valuable certification program. So companies join the program and they go through a step-by-step process, thankfully now on a dashboard online, making it a lot easier to accomplish in order to become a certified green business. Really the cornerstone of and the difference about our program is it really is based on green business engagement. So a green team is required. And our goal is to make this program and green and sustainability part of the DNA of every organization. We're also a membership program, which is amazing. So we have 120 members and many more signing up soon. And our members collaborate, they do business together, and they're from every kind of company that you can imagine. We work with every business and nonprofit, except for home-based businesses, and we're not working with K-12 schools. And beyond just the members, we're this. We're a big part of the community, 10 years into the community, in trying to educate the community about sustainable business. We could not do this without our sponsors. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So grateful to Con Edison, not only for financially supporting us, but for supporting us really with your hearts for such a long time. NYSERDA, we had a $540,000 grant that was awarded to us. It was a 3-year grant. It's over in June of 2019. So we are actively seeking funding in order to make up some of the money that will keep our program going and thriving. And the Westchester Community Foundation, also an amazing platinum level sponsor of the program. Regeneron Gold, Agera, TD Bank, and Pell Wealth Silver. And then we have 8 wonderful bronze sponsors: Allied Converters, Atlantic Westchester. They're here in the room today. The Blue Book, Bright Energy Services, Diamond Properties, LaChase Construction, New York Presbyterian Hospital, and Rex, and a division of SL Green. And most of the companies on this sponsor sheet are actually certified members of the program. So they're walking the walk right along with us. We're very proud of our relationship with the New York Library Association. We are the platform, the benchmarking platform of NYLA. There are 40 libraries that are in our program, and they're all going through this whole process. A couple of them have become certified. Many of them are on deck to become certified. And very cool that we're in conversations with the American Library Association to be the benchmarking program nationally. So we have 120 members, and you can go on our website and see who they are, and 35 are certified, but if you ask Ethan, we have like 7 sitting on deck that are in review right now, so that number is going to rise, and that really is a lot, and attests to the work that our team has been doing to work with our members to really push them through and get them to the finish line, although you're never done. And so I have just a couple of slides, and you can see some of the companies that have achieved certification. All different kinds of companies. Some of them are in the room. So the way that it works now is that if a company wants to join, they go online, they join right through the online dashboard. They become a member and get a whole dashboard and get all of the information that they need in order to accomplish the program. So that includes surveys and the Green Action List, a greenhouse gas emissions inventory tool. So they get all of that. They work through their dashboard with our help. Ethan gets on the phone and trains every one of our members, or we look for an intern to help them get through the process. They submit a final presentation and get certified. And I make it sound really easy. But those in this room will tell you who've been through it, it's not. But this has never changed. We've changed a lot of things, our name over time, but these 7 steps of this program have never changed. And organizational commitment has always been at the top, because without it, nothing works. So if one person is working and doing or going through certification and no one else in the company is, then it's just not going to be meaningful. So this is very CEO or head of company driven. We give the head of the company templated emails, and basically the first thing they do is they email the entire company. They email them survey links, and they say, look, you know what, I really value your time on this program, and we're really asking everybody who works in our organization to do their job in the most sustainable way possible. So this is our dashboard. I put it on, I broke it up. It's typically vertical. But when a company joins, this is what they see. So they get information on the top, get certified, they can click a link and learn a whole lot more about how to go through the process, enter multiple locations. We have companies that have multiple locations, and you can put all of your locations on a single dashboard. You get your surveys to survey your staff and engage their thoughts and behaviors on sustainability. And employees and commuting survey. You get a green action list. It has 209 actions. Many of them are voluntary. Many of them are required to go through those 7 areas of focus, which I mentioned. And the greenhouse gas emissions inventory. So you can input up to 5 years of data about the performance of your company. And this is kind of our claim to fame. I did go out to Chicago a few weeks ago to a summit with organizations from around the country, and they were all kind of blown away by our greenhouse gas emissions inventory and are actually asking to license the inventory because it's a very unique tool. And then companies submit a final presentation. It gets loaded there. And this on the bottom is the place where you can invite your green team and you can collaborate through your dashboard. So very quickly, this is just a snapshot of the green action list. And as I said, over 200 actions, the 7 areas of focus, and it's very granular. So for every single action, we give resource links in order to accomplish that action. And the greenhouse gas emissions inventory. So we're calculating economic and environmental impacts of energy, travel, waste, water, and refrigerants used in an organization. So what's unique about it, it puts it all into one place. Often companies are measuring this information and going over here for energy and going over there to measure their water. And so it's all in one place, and it really goes above and beyond as far as what is calculated, per employee, per square foot. There's a lot of information that companies can come out of with this greenhouse gas emissions inventory to make decisions over time. So very quickly, we do a lot of activities. One of them is, where we are right today. So we did this Leaders in Sustainability Speaker Series here at the college. We're so grateful to the college for this incredible space and having us here 4 times a year. We have lunch and learns. This one was really fun. It was outside. Once, in the summer, we try to do them outside. This was at the Greenberg Nature Center. It was really, really fun. We sat in a meadow and with butterflies floating around. It was really kind of cool. Industry forums. We just did one of the Blue Pig ice cream. That was super fun, but for food service. And we bring together organizations of a similar type to chat about what does sustainability mean to them as an industry, and how could they help each other. We have a fabulous internship training program. We actually train interns, and we match them with your companies and help your companies become certified. It's an incredible opportunity for the intern, and it's a lot of help to the company. We've had interns get hired. It's really, really an awesome program. Certification ceremonies, when a company gets certified, we make a huge deal. We all show up. There's a party. We write newsletters and because we really want to put our companies, our certified companies, up on that pedestal that they deserve to be on and to be a leader for their industry. And finally, this is our big, we didn't do one of these the first year, so we did our 8th annual awards ceremony last June. That was a drone shot that Mike arranged, and it was a fantastic event. And what we do is we honor companies for their work across our 7 categories. And that is my part. I'm so excited to introduce Hrisa now and learn all about JLL and what's going on. You're going to switch okay. Okay. So Hrisa, I'm going to move this over. Gatzoulis, did I say that right? Is a senior project manager with JLL Energy and Sustainability Services. As a LEED accredited professional with a concentration in building, design, and construction, Hrisa specializes in reducing building energy use and incorporating sustainability initiatives into project design and construction. In addition, Hrisa is a well-accredited professional and assists clients in incorporating health and wellness concepts into design, construction, and existing buildings. Hrisa specializes in comprehensive energy and sustainability performance for new buildings, existing building retrofits, portfolios, schools, multifamily high-rise residential and commercial interiors. Prior to JLL, Hrisa has worked with several engineering firms in New York City, specializing in environmental engineering. She was born and raised in Kansas and graduated from the University of Kansas with a degree in biology and psychology, which is probably really important degrees to have for what it is that you do. She has a Master of Science degree in environmental science from Pace University. Welcome, Hrisa. We're delighted. From Westchester. All yours.
So actually, I should say I came straight from Kansas to Westchester, actually Briarcliff Manor, and I was like, where did I go here? There's deer in my backyard. So where most people say, you know, what's Kansas like? I was just as surprised when I came to Westchester as well. But then I later went to White Plains, and I was like, okay, this seems more a little bit my style. But anyway, Dan, thank you so much for inviting me to speak today, and thank you, Meg, for help bringing this all together. And I just, what a great opportunity to talk to people that are interested about this, and some of those probably speaking to the, you know, to the choir. There's just so many great opportunities of what we can do. Nothing is too big, nothing is too small, and I think the first gentleman spoke about leading by example. And at JLL, we really try to lead by example, whether it's what we do in our offices, what we do globally, but it starts globally and trickles down to all of our states, you know, in the different countries, and also leading by example is also what you do in your own home. So when I say it's nothing is too small, even if you dedicate recycling, if you use lower flow plumbing fixtures in your showers and your sinks, so nothing is too small. In this presentation, you're going to see a lot of high-end technologies. You're going to see some best-in-class projects all over the country, but that doesn't mean that you still can't do these things at a smaller level. So we're just going to touch a little bit on some of this. People will know, but there's some great facts in here about why green buildings matter, the benefits of green buildings, some drivers and trends, and things that kind of help you win stuff that our clients are asking for. So maybe these are some of the things that you're asking for, your clients are asking for, and then some of our best-in-class projects. So why do green buildings matter? A lot of times when you say this, sometimes you're talking to a CEO of a company and his bottom line, he or she, is the dollar. And that's fine. What we like to do is we like to show everybody that by choosing green, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily more of an expense. It's really an investment, and there is a return in your investment, because if you're more energy efficient, you are saving energy, you're saving your Con Edison bill. But also, as you said too, Con Edison is an important part, because how much more infrastructure can you build? At some point, you know, we would have more blackouts. So, and everybody's always going to be paying their electric, but how can we be more energy efficient? So, you know, of course, it's a great partnership. So thank you for saying those things earlier too. So impacts of US buildings on resources, as you can see, 72% of electric consumption is buildings. So see, Con Edison is always going to be in business. Look at this. 39% is CO2 emissions, and 13.6% is potable water consumption. And then here are some facts for the state of New York and New York City. Buildings are responsible for 76% of the carbon emissions, and 32% in the state of New York. So you can see the biggest contribution is buildings, whether they're big or small. So that's why green buildings matter. As you can see here, we have to start thinking about this, whether it's our existing buildings, whether it's new buildings. If it's new buildings, it should just be ingrained. And most of state and local codes and building codes have really pushed. New York is, especially New York City, is really trying to be on the forefront. California has been mostly, pushing a lot of these, but New York City, with all of their visions in reducing carbon emissions and improving energy efficiency, we're in competition with California. So who knows? Maybe we'll outbeat them, but we'll see. But these are good fights. It's a good fight to be who can be more energy efficient, because in the end, we're all going to win. And then here's some benefits of green buildings. As you can see over here, green buildings, if you incorporate various measures of energy efficiency, green buildings can reduce their energy by 24 to 50%. Their CO2 emissions get down, water use goes down by 40%, and solid waste. So green buildings touch on everything. It's not just energy, it's water, it's CO2. There's big impacts when you start making changes and way of thought. So advantages of green buildings and spaces. This was, developed for property owners, but I think this is just important to see as well too. You can see that once you start incorporating efficiency measures and sustainability, you're decreasing your operating costs. So a lot of times that's what brings people to the table. Maybe they don't really care about being efficient, or they don't care about sustainability, but these things matter to them. They want to decrease their operating costs. So now they start listening and they're paying attention. They're like, wow, I thought going green, was expensive. Or that's the key thing here, is when you can do measures, whether big or small, you're actually reducing your operating costs. And that's when people start realizing that not only are you helping, helping reduce all the carbon emissions and our climate change crisis that we're having, you're actually reducing your operating costs. And sometimes that's what gets people to start thinking about these things. And you're increasing your building values. You have an improved return on your investment. And people are actually seeing, like landlords are seeing, that tenants are asking to be in spaces like this. So to our JLL brokers that I was talking to this morning too, like, this is important. A lot of tenants are saying, you know what, this is important to me. I want to be in a space. I want to lease. I want to rent. I want to be someplace where the landlord actually cares about the space, because I care about the space too. And maybe this isn't for the tenants, but at least the landlords, are seeing that they can get more rent for their space, because if they're investing in this. But the tenants that are seeking this is an important value to them too, because it's a return on their investment as well. So what are some drivers and trends? We'll start with some drivers. So a lot of people come to us and want to talk about LEED, because LEED is probably the most known, and which is great, because a lot of times they come to the table, they really don't know a lot, but they've heard about LEED. And the great thing with LEED, it is a platform to at least start looking at a space. So for LEED, if most of the people you're familiar with this, it is for existing buildings, it's for new construction, and under new construction, there's various gamuts from commercial interiors, healthcare, schools, all the different industries. So really LEED is and for those who don't know, it's Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, and it's a green building certification that recognizes best-in-class building strategies. And this is a platform now that is global, and JLL being an international company, we get to see LEED certifications all over the world. And this is actually something that JLL cares about as well. So all of our new interior fit outs for our own spaces, we have a LEED Gold standard, if possible, and also which the next slide we're going to look at WELL too. So we're also starting to look at WELL certification. So that's another thing. We would not suggest something that we haven't already done to our clients. We want to make sure that this is replicable and that there is a return on your investment, whether it's your employees, whether it's your bottom dollar. But these are all certifications that we have done, that we do as well. So the great thing about this and I'm going to go over it quickly, so I feel like most people have heard about LEED, but it is a third-party assurance of sustainability and achievements. And a lot of tenants are demanding this. So sometimes the tenant is demanding to be in a space. So we have clients that will not choose a building to move into unless it has a LEED certification. And sometimes we have clients that will demand a gold or a platinum. So this then brings to the table the landlords and the owners of these properties. If they're not LEED certified, how can we get LEED certified? So one hand helps the other. And LEED version 4 came out recently, and what LEED is always trying to do as well too is just push the limits. So there is higher performance, focus on materials, acoustics, lighting control, indoor air quality. And you will see, the next slide will be about the WELL certification. The difference between these two certifications is this one is really focusing on sustainability and energy performance, where WELL is a focus on the occupant, the well-being, the employee in the space. But there is some overlap. Both certifications care about the materials. And that's an important thing too. You know, we talk about energy, but materials are important in a space. Indoor air quality is very important to the occupant in the space. If you are using materials that are harmful, I'm sure you've all heard of the sick building syndrome. That sends a lot of people, people are getting sick these days. Why are they getting sick? It's because we are using a lot of materials that are coming from countries that don't have any emission standards on their products. So we're in spaces where, they are making us sick because we're sitting in chairs and desks that have not been tested properly. So that's the great thing about these certifications. It makes people start looking at the materials because that's something people don't think about, which also leads to better indoor air quality. So as I was saying, the WELL, so WELL is part of the International Well Building Institute, and I thought this kind of resonated. We spend 93% of our time indoors. That's a lot. It's very depressing. That's depressing, but because of this, that's how this certification came about. And how can we have better spaces for, in our offices? So this really made people focus on the quality of your space. That's great if you're energy efficient. That's great if you're recycling. But what about let me go to the next slide. So as you can see, this was really developed because of all of the different systems in our body, everything that we get impacted with. So indoor air quality, of course, is a big one, but everything from, actually here, I'll talk about the slide first and then we'll go to the next one where it has the different elements. But it's about creating healthier and more productive places for people. So if people are in spaces where there's healthy food, or it has an opportunity to go and run on a treadmill for half an hour, these are things that make people more productive. Maybe they don't need that extra cup of coffee. Maybe they just need to go sit in a meditation room. There's a lot of opportunities, and a lot of people say, okay, well, I don't have that space or I don't have that time. But that's what this whole certification is about, is investing in your employees and your occupants, because if you are putting them in a healthy space, they are going to be more productive and they are going to be better at what they do as well. So, and this certification is a performance-based certification. And the one thing that I love about this is that they actually come and audit the space. So they will come and perform air testing, they will come and perform water testing, acoustical testing, everything. So for you, in order to get the certification, you're actually proving, and it's a provable certification to show your occupants, your employees, that they're in a space where everything has been thought of for them on their well-being. So this is where I was kind of jumping ahead. So there's 7 elements, and actually, WELL version 2 just came out, so they added 3 more elements. But as you can see here, it's air, water, nourishment, fitness, comfort, mind, light, where you can see this so differs from energy efficiency. But I think, and that's why some people say, well, what should I choose to do? What certification should I do? And I said, it's really not a choice. They're two different things. I think you should always be energy efficient. I think you should always be sustainable, but you should also care about the space that you're in as well. And I think the next, okay, yeah, this is our office downtown, 28 Liberty. And best way probably to talk about this is just to talk about our own space. So this project started 2 years ago, and WELL certification was really new. And we weren't sure what we thought about it as JLL, as being in the energy and sustainability group. This is so different. We can't measure a return on investment. How do you measure a return on your investment? By measuring, are people not sick? How, are they happier to be in the office? That's harder to measure than a dollar sign and reducing your energy bill. So we thought, to lead by example, we should do this in our own space. So I actually get to head up this project, and because it was so small, and that's an important thing that I think I've mentioned before, no project is too small for anything, whether it's a certification, whether it's just wanting to take sustainability measures, efficiency, nothing is too small. This project is under 10,000 square feet, and it was a super small office, and the whole design process was 3 months. And one thing I want to preempt and say, so this is like new construction. We'll get to the slide where it talks about energy retrofits for existing buildings. So it's never too soon to think about things. So even when you're with your broker and you're looking for a space, these are things you need to start thinking about. It's never too early to start thinking about, where is this location of the office? Do I have amenities? If I wanted to take mass transit, could I take a bus? Could I take a subway? There's lots of things to think about when you're choosing a space, and not just the rent per square footage. So this location, of course, it's in New York City, so of course we have a lot of transit. And the building itself has great amenities as well too. They have an outdoor plaza. They have places for people to sit. They have artwork in the lobby. So this project really lent itself to do a WELL certification. And what I wanted to go back to is, I was tasked to do a feasibility if we could do WELL during the process of design, but because design was only 3 months, I had to somehow incorporate features, and the design process finished, construction was going to begin, and we still didn't have an answer internally from JLL if we could proceed to do WELL certification. So, but I persevered, and I was able to, even though we were going to begin construction in a week, I was able to, the architects, the engineers, the general contractor, everybody was on board to make this happen. And not to say we were in competition to be the first WELL-certified space in New York City, and I have to say we came in close second, but I want to say first because they paid for an expedited review. No, just kidding. No, just kidding. Just kidding. You have to say that as a sore loser, right? No. No, and we're friendly with the other people as well. But this, we were very excited to be in the top. There were top 3 projects that finished the first within the same year, and we were all honored by the U.S. Green Building Council, and we had tours of our offices as well. But I just wanted to showcase to say that, of course, you have to lead by example. You have to sometimes try things on your own to make sure that this is a right fit for your client. So, and not only did we see this was a right fit for JLL, but this was also a right fit for a lot of people. People are asking us about wellness. They're asking us, what can we do? We have employees that we care about. We want to attract new talent. What are things that we can do to bring these things to the table? So that's great. And even if you don't do a WELL certification, there's so many things you can do. You can take elements of many of these things and create something that's more specific for your specific location. So some trends now. So drivers, a lot of times the certifications are the drivers that then bring technology to the table to fulfill a lot of these needs or compliance. So now these are some trends in tenant energy optimizations. So you have a great opportunity. You have an existing space, and you can see how much electric consumption they have. So what can we do? A lot of time it's lighting. So LED lighting. I feel like LED lighting has come to a good place now for cost. So when you're looking to switch out your lights, this is definitely an area you should look into. And also controls. There's a great opportunity, especially code, makes you put in occupancy sensors so when people leave a space. So even sometimes basic controls, daylighting controls, maybe you don't need the whole fixture on. If the windows are over there, these fixtures might need to be on, maybe just these. So, and the great thing that we did, I forgot to mention in our office at 28 Liberty, we also went for LEED Gold. So my job was to marry the two certifications where WELL makes you really think about adding more light into a space so it provides a great, working environment. I also care about energy efficiency. So I actually worked with the WELL Institute, and I came up with a way to have a properly lit space that would be acceptable for WELL, but I reduced our lighting power by 45% of code. So I was like, there's a way to do, and actually WELL was so interested in that when they updated to WELL version 2, they took out some of those intense requirements of light because some of the work that we did here at 28 Liberty. So plug load management, controlling, so really like what kind of equipment do you have? Is it efficient? When you're gonna swap it out, you should think about efficiencies because that piece of equipment that might cost $5,000 or $10,000 more, what is it going to bring you in the long? You have to look at, especially if you're leasing a space, what is the term of your lease? Are you going to be there in 10 or 15 years? So a lot of these, you have to think about things, not just the initial cost, but your operating cost over time and what is your return on investment. A lot of these things like lighting, investment in efficient HVAC equipment, your return on investment is usually within 5 or 10 years. So that covers the length of your lease. And I mentioned before, indoor air quality. So a lot of times people say, just bring more air in the space. We feel we need more air. However, what is that air that we're bringing in? Is it clean air? Because if you're just going to bring more air in, that doesn't mean that you're actually helping out the space. So it's really important. Demand control of ventilation is not only important for indoor air quality, the quality of it, but also an energy efficiency measure. This is paired with a CO2 sensor. So let's say you are in a conference room that is normally unoccupied, but we're in here now, all of us are in here, and we need a greater demand of CO2. So instead of constantly just pumping in more air, there is a need now. So you can see how it's an indoor air quality, but it's also an energy efficiency measure too. And we've seen a lot of clients asking for this to be included as part of their design. And air purification too. So another thing that we did at 28 Liberty is we're purifying the air right at the duct. So the air that's supplied to us from the building, we have an air purification system in our ductwork that takes out all of the particles into the space, and it's not to get too technical, it's a bipolar ionization system, so it's really taking out all those bad particles out of the air, and actually it just kind of drops to the floor, and you're able to, the cleaning crew vacuum that out at night. But we've had such great feedback from our employees there saying that they feel like the air is so much cleaner, they feel like they're in a space where they're more productive, and that it just smells clean is what we've heard. But all of these have measurable savings. So helping you win, and I kind of touched on throughout as I was talking, but these are some of the things that our clients are asking for. We have an existing building. What can we look at to make, to help improve? We're going to change out our lights, or we're going to change out our mechanical system, or some clients don't know what they need to do. So that's the great thing, where we're able to come in and do an analysis. We'll do an audit for them and we'll understand what their needs are. And we usually pair with an energy modeler. So we're able to assess every measure its return on investment, and what kind of energy savings it will bring to the project. Certification, which we talked upon, carbon footprint reduction, and as I mentioned before, a lot of people are saying, we want to attract and retain our talent. What can we do? So some people don't even have a thought of energy efficiency or sustainability or wellness. They don't know what to do, but they want to attract and retain talent. So a lot of times, this is where they come to the table, and we're able to introduce so many things that they didn't even realize. But people that are just graduating out of college, if we have any students in here, these are things that they care about. They want to be in a space where their employer cares about these things. Net zero energy for water and waste. Commissioning, and commissioning is also important too, so sometimes even if you don't go for a certification, paying for a third party to come out to make sure that your design was implemented correctly. So if you could have a very super efficient design for your mechanical systems, for your lighting, but unless you have somebody to come out and verify it, maybe the set points weren't. So you could have paid for top dollar for a very efficient piece of equipment, but it was never set to be at the energy efficient mode. So we always tell our clients, commissioning is a big part of this. You need to make sure that your equipment is operating as per design. And as I mentioned before, health and wellness, and of course, reducing your operating costs. So also trending is smart buildings. I'm sure you've heard this, your space being connected to everything, to an app where you're able to open your doors, turn off your lights. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of it trickle down into even residential. I have an app where I can control the lights. I can turn off my Christmas tree from my phone. So there's so many great things that you can do, even if you're not in a high-rise building that is all a smart building. There's so many things you can do even in your space to reduce, even in your home, using smart plugs so, you're able to turn them off and not always use them. And then cradle to cradle. So that is a very, it is something that people have been talking about for a long time, but the people that have worked on cradle to cradle over the years, I think it's just super important. We have so much trash and so much waste that we're just putting into landfills. What if we came up with materials that from when they were produced, that they could go back full circle and be recycled and reused into something else? We also, besides, our electric consumption, we also have to be careful of all the waste that we're generating as well. So cradle to cradle is, I think it's very important, people that manufacturing materials or furniture or whatever it is, to think about cradle to cradle. And then net zero buildings. That is a trend that a lot of the bigger cities, like New York City, California, they're looking at this. How can our buildings be net zero? We have a long way to get there, but we have a lot of initiatives that are in place that are making people come to the table and figure out ways. But that's where important partnerships, Con Edison and NYSERDA, these are important partnerships. How can we get to these levels? And then renewable energy, of course, we know solar panels, wind farms, there's so many opportunities there. I mentioned commissioning. And then green lease negotiations, that's also important too. Sometimes it's the landlord that has created a very green and energy efficient space, and they want to make sure that the tenants they bring in are held to certain standards. Or sometimes it is the tenant that comes to the table and says, listen, I want certain performance measures. If you're going to build this space out for me, these are the things I want. So green leases is another thing we help our clients with. Excuse me. So I feel like I've touched on a lot of the different ways we touch our clients in different ways. We do project management and certification. And that's what my group specifically does. All over the country, all over the United States. We do have counterparts, but if we have a client that has spaces, we'll usually touch them wherever they are. Or sometimes our client, if they have offices all over the world, our different counterparts will touch them as well. We also have energy and sustainability services that are for our portfolio clients. So we will have some employees of JLL that sit on an account like Wells Fargo, and they will be there with them almost as if an employee for them, and measuring, doing an energy management for their whole portfolio, doing assessments as new projects come on, and doing Energy Star certifications as well. And then we also have our strategic consulting group too that does all of a lot of the same things we do, but ours, a lot of times ours stems from the project management part. So if there's a project that comes, we will see it from the start to the finish. And a lot of times we get to partner with our great group of project managers that are our owners, reps, and project managers. So a lot of times these guys come to us and say, we have this great client, they really care about energy efficiency. We're going to build out the space. What can you bring to the table? So that being said, Don is here today, and he heads up our Sanford office. And if you want to just come and touch a little bit about the great things that you guys are doing here.
Thank you.
Of course.
Good morning, everyone. Before I get started, happy holidays to all of you. I think, the old saying is take a job you love and you never work a day in your life. And honestly, I consider what I do a job I love, and therefore I don't think I work a day in my life. I'm honored to be able to say that I work with such a great group of professionals on my team. I'm the lucky guy. I head up our project management practice throughout Connecticut and pretty much all of New York State. And I get the opportunity to work with such great professionals, some of which are architects and engineers and who are contractors of all different walks of life. And then we also get to work with great consultants, architects, all sorts of engineers, and IT and AV and security consultants. And then better yet, we get to work with great clients. So it's a great thing. So I don't know how much time I have, but I'm just going to spend a couple minutes and just talk about maybe the who, what, where, and why, which I think this slide represents. So who are we and what are we? We're owners' reps. We represent the owner. And what does that mean? What it means is you take any one of our corporate clients or institutional clients who are looking to either outfit some new space or restack the space they're in. And these are folks that have day jobs that are doing many other things and candidly don't have the time and sometimes the expertise to go and manage a new office fit out or restacking their existing space. So they'll come to me and my group and they'll say, can you help us? Absolutely. So we become an extension of them. And what does that mean? We basically take the project over and handle every single aspect of the project, from assembling the design team. Even before that, working with great folks like our brokers, like Chris O'Callahan, who's in the audience today, but helping them find space, helping them design that space, helping them build the team that's going to design that space, ultimately manage the construction of that space, manage the move of that space. We always like to say you get one shot at making a project right. And what do I mean by that? You've got to make sure that at the end of the day, your end users are happy in their new space. The C-suite folks are happy with the way the project went. So that's why we say, get us on board, and ultimately what we'll do is we'll mitigate your risk entirely throughout the entire project. But we'll budget the project for them. We'll schedule the project for them. We manage it along every aspect along the way. So I can't really see that all that great. But so it's budgeting it. It's becoming an extension of the client. It's mitigating the risks throughout. Who do we do this for? We do it for corporations. We do it for hospitals. We do it for country clubs. We've done it for Madison Square Garden. We built their new practice facility years ago right here in Greenburgh. We just finished an expansion relocation for Ascensia. We moved them to Valhalla from Terrytown. We're doing work. We did work with Whippoorwill Country Club. So all different sorts of clients we do this for. Let's see, what else? And as I said, we'll take it through helping them find the space through planning, through design, through construction, and move in. Quick couple minutes on what we do. Any questions for anyone? Come on, there's got to be.
Yeah, we're going to do, Hrisa's going to finish, and then
Yes.
we're going to do a full Q&A, and we'll bring you back up.
If you want to, before you go, if you wanted to share like how our two groups work together as well too.
Sure. Look, at the end of the day, we have an obligation to the folks that we work for, and it's to deliver the best space at the most cost-effective pricing that we can. So what do we want to do? We want to make sure that we engage when we think about green and we think about sustainability. There's not a project that we get involved in on a daily basis that we're not thinking about sustainability, and Hrisa and Dana Schneider and the sustainability group to see how we can optimize that. So we don't consider, when I say we, my group, we're not experts in all this, so we want to make sure that we get the experts involved in everything we do. So when it comes to things like sustainability and wellness and staying green, we incorporate Hrisa and Dana and the sustainability team to work with us with the different vendors on the project. So they'll work hand in hand with the architect, they'll work hand in hand with the MEPs, what we call the mechanical, electrical, plumbing consultants on the project, to make sure that the space is designed so that it could be as efficient as possible for ultimately the end users. And we do that on a regular basis with Hrisa and her team. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
That was perfect for Don to speak about it himself since he was here today. But our groups do work really great together. And the great thing about our team, too, is we get the opportunity to work with groups like Don here. We get to work with our groups in New Jersey, of course, in New York. Had the opportunity to work right now with our team in Hong Kong. So it's amazing working at JLL. I've had such great opportunities to work on projects. That kind of leads us into best-in-class projects. I've had opportunity to work on projects all over the world, which is pretty amazing. And this, these are some, of course, our higher-end, best-in-class projects. They either have gone for LEED certification or they've done an energy retrofit. But I have to say that whatever you do, whether it's big or small, I also have a project. It's a 5,000 square foot office for a bank in Queens, and they didn't know what they wanted to do, but the architect actually brought us to the table, and the architect said, they're really excited about this. They don't know what they could do. Can you come talk with them? So nothing is too small. Nothing is too local. There's so many things you can do. You don't have to be a big corporation or a big space, as you see here. But the opportunity, though, I think, is if you are a big corporation, it's your duty to do the right thing, so then you can show others. The best way to do is do it yourself and show how it's replicable. So these are just some interior spaces, and I have to say we do a lot of interior spaces. We have a lot of clients that are tenants, and that they might have chosen a great space, a base building, and they might have not. So what can we do to make their space better? And these are some new construction projects. The Bank of America project is actually down the street from my office in Manhattan, and this was a platinum project for us, and it was one of the first to go platinum of that LEED version, and that was a great project. And as you can see here, we have all different types of spaces in new construction. My colleagues got to work on the Atlanta Braves Stadium, which that was another great project for them. So you can see we get to touch different types, different sectors, different industries. And I've also, in Talking International, I have this great opportunity to work for a client that does high-end luxury and in the fragrance and beauty. And I won't name their name, but they actually really care about sustainability. It starts from their global sustainability group, And they said, we have small boutiques, but we still want to make an impact. We want to show other luxury brands that, just because you're luxury doesn't mean you can't be sustainable. And that's why I wanted to bring that up. You can never be too small, you can never be too fancy. There's always great things that you can do. And these are some existing buildings. So the Empire State Building, we'll talk more about on the next slide. But this, as Don mentioned, Dana Schneider, she's a managing director at JLL and also heads up our energy and sustainability group. And this is pretty much her pride and joy. She created energy retrofit at the Empire State Building that is just an amazing feat to have an iconic landmark building. And what Dana says, if you could do this at the Empire State Building, you could do it anywhere. But we'll talk more about that on the next slide. But you can see here that no building is too small, nothing is too big. Everything, there is a plan that you can take for every type of space. So here's the Empire State Building. Everybody is always so excited to see all these great things. So you can see they reduced their energy use by 38%. Their annual savings is $4.4 million. This was a 3.1-year payback. And the owner of the Empire State Building, this was important to them, is his return on investment. And when he saw a 3.1-year payback, he said, of course, this is a no-brainer. We're going to do it, and how can we do it everywhere? Reduce our carbon emissions. They also have an Energy Star rating of 90. This is a LEED Gold. EBOM means existing building. They have an energy performance contract with their vendors, so all of their vendors are held at rigorous performance, so that way we ensure that the Empire State Building is always reporting on these matrices. And this is one of the things that Dana wanted to show, that this could serve as a model for owners of existing buildings of all sizes. And until this day, all of the tenants that come into the space, we work on the tenants with them to do energy optimization of all their space. So it is in their lease requirements when you come into the Empire State Building that you do green and efficiency measures. So everybody's always excited to see all the great work that happened at the Empire State Building. And I do agree, if you could do it here, it's a landmark building, it's an iconic building. All of these different aspects can be put into any type of space. And Danny, when she first contacted me, she's like, I really like your building a better tomorrow. So this is JLL's, and I'll let you read it, but it's just leading by example. This is, what our platform is of, what we are as JLL, what we do to represent our clients, but that I think this really truly represents how can we all build a better tomorrow together. And this is just a slide that kind of has all of our energy and sustainability rolled up, so internationally. So you can see some of the work that we've done. We have over $200 million of energy savings for our clients in the past year. We've reduced over 247,000 tons of reduced greenhouse gas emissions. We have over 20,000 number of facilities that have specialized energy services. 4.2 billion delivered in cumulative energy savings since 2007. This number has risen 100 plus. We probably have doubled that at least now. Successful LEED certifications. This number is growing every day as well too, the number of projects we have, and we have way over 150 million square footages just in the Americas. And the number of LEED APs and WELL APs, and there's another certification we haven't talked about as well too that is new, which is Fitwell as well. So many certifications are, all of our colleagues are not only, are they educating people, but they're taking on these accreditations themselves too. So can kind of see, and also who I spoke about earlier too, Dana Schneider. She's also a LEED fellow, and that's a very select group that the U.S. Green Building Council chooses based on their years of experience working with the U.S. Green Building Council, and it's an honor that she was honored to be a LEED fellow. And with that, that is it. Danny, I don't know if you want to handle the question. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. I just want to say too, it's really encouraging to see that more and more clients are asking about green spaces, because when Danny and I started this 5-10 years ago, when we worked with landlords and we talked to, especially here in Westchester, they said it was very rare for potential clients, prospective clients, to come to the table asking about these things. So it seems like that has changed over time, which is really encouraging.
Absolutely.
So I just want to mention that.
Absolutely.
Any questions from the audience?
Yes.
Of course, have to say it's a great presentation, because I'm with JLL also, but, and
You shouldn't have said that part.
I'm just surprised that in Westchester County we haven't been selling these services as much as perhaps the brokerage side of the business should be. I'm going to blame that on Bucci, because when Bucci needs something, he's not shy about asking me for it. But the product in Westchester is 30 and 40 years old. There hasn't been a significant new office building built in Westchester in 30, 40 years. So the opportunity for a group like this is huge. And it's huge for everyone, because we all have an opportunity to make these buildings better.
Absolutely.
To make them more attractive to corporations that are looking from outside the area.
Absolutely.
To make our market more competitive. Because when companies look, they know immediately whether someone's paying attention to construction or sustainability, making sure that they're efficient. The efficiency standards in our business now are off the charts. Even in our own office, we have, it's a little funny that even in JLL's New York office, we have a line for the waiting room. We have so many people because we're so efficient. So I just think it's a great presentation. It's a great thing for all of us to think about as we look into the future of Westchester County. And so I wonder how, the question now is, is how can we market for you better? How can we introduce you to the appropriate people? Because we know all the landlords, we know all the tenants, and they have to know.
Well, I mean, I think it really starts, and we started talking about this morning too, is a lot of times projects start with a broker, so it's really educating the brokers as well. That these things are important, that you see it comes down to the bottom dollar. Like there is a return, and that's why I think there is the existing building stock is huge. But you saw the Empire State Building. If they're able to get a return on investment in 3.1 years, I mean, those are important numbers. So maybe you're not doing new construction up here, but I feel like you guys have some new construction up here.
Hospitality and medical.
Okay. But still, like the opportunities just be, of course, in new construction, I feel like you have an obligation because you now live in a world where, we should care about these things. But existing buildings, I get it, like the landlord might have this building for 30 years and, I don't know, what to do. But that's the thing. It's always the first step. When I don't know what to do, let's talk. Let's do an audit of your space. What are the opportunities? How old is your mechanical equipment? And it's really inventory of what is your equipment, what is the end of life. So then you can start looking at, building a capital budget to start working in, because of course you have to create a budget to do this as well too. But if you understand what your investment is and what your return on your investment will be, you can budget that out. So maybe I can only do lighting this year, but that's great. I have a plan for 10 years. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, I'll be able to put my budget. I'll be saving money along the way because I'm going to do, let's say, my lighting first, or maybe it makes sense to change my lighting and my HVAC system, because again, you have to think, if you have an efficient lighting system, you're not going to need as much energy, because if the lights are not producing so much heat, you're not need to cool the space. So one thing handles the other. So that's why it's hard to, if you just go talk to a vendor and say, I need a new HVAC system, but what are the other variables in your space? So that's why it's important to have somebody like us from our group. We're going to look at your space entirely and make a recommendation based on what you have, what your capital budget is, what is your return on investment. So it's really, we tailor everything to the building, to the space, and whoever the client or the tenant is.
Can you talk to us a little bit about if your clients use your program, what that means for the retention of their employees? Because as we continue to see more and more businesses who are hiring the new workforce, sustainability is an important piece.
Absolutely.
And obviously, as we're looking to retain and recruit and keep talent in Westchester County, companies need to be able to show their employees and they understand what the importance is of this program.
Absolutely. I would have to say, recently one of our HR group came, I was talking to them in passing, and they were saying, no longer do you interview the future employee. It's like the future employee is interviewing you. It's such a different thing. You know, when I graduated from PACE, it's like, how can I get my first job? You know, people, do you care about sustainability? You know, what can I do? So I feel like times have changed since, you know, when I graduated, and employees are really now interviewing their employer. What do you have? What are you providing to the table? You know, one of the things, you know, that we do, that we started at our 28 Liberty office, but now we do, and I don't know, Don, you can tell me if you do in your office too. We have healthy snacks. Do you guys have healthy? If you don't, we'll get you some. We have. All right, Don, we'll work on you later. I'll have to come visit your office and see what I can do. But like having healthy snacks. So yes, you know, and we also have 2 separate vending machines. We have a vending machine where you can get your normal stuff, but right next to it is a vending machine that like has hummus and pretzels that we don't have fruit in there because we provide like fruit, you know, free fruit to our employees. So those are things, if you were going to come work at JLL, you would come, you would walk in, and you could see that, you know, we are providing a place where, you know, we're for wellness, having wellness rooms, that we care about the lighting quality. Of course, we have our certifications too, but these are things that people are looking at. What is your platform? I mean, one of the things that Danny said, she went on, she saw our building, you know, building a better tomorrow. When people see that, I'm just going to speak, you know, specifically for JLL, they're like, wow, this is amazing. I want to come work for you. And I have to say, I was in the environmental engineering world, and when I saw all the great things that JLL was doing, I switched fields and went into energy sustainability because I was like, wow. And of course, I got to meet Dana. I know I talk about her a lot, but she is a really amazing person, super passionate. I got most of my passion, you know, to do all this stuff through her, but, you know, doing environmental science, you know, as a major as well. But there's just so many great opportunities, and when you see a company like this. So, but again, you know, you as Westchester too, like your office, you know, I'm sure you're thinking of that as well. How can I make my employees happier? It's really just looking at, is there something I can do on the energy side, the sustainability side, wellness? I feel like all of those things touch. So there's so many different options you can do, but you'll see you go a long way. You bring people some oranges, some apples, you know, they're excited. So I don't know if that answered your question, but it definitely, but I think it just goes to that employees are interviewing their employers now.
So one of the things that I failed to say before, but Hrisa had mentioned, your utility companies, whether you're within Con Edison's territory or somebody else's, are very much an important partner in it. And is Jeff still here? Is Jeff? Okay, so Jeff is with us here today from Con Edison. He's with our energy efficiency organization. And you should all be aware that there's a number of programs that we can help you out with financially in moving forward in the directions of being sustainable. So I would encourage you to tap into them. I can't list them all here, but there are energy efficiency programs for lighting or HVAC, or even if you have EVs. So, you know, tap into us because it's there. It's an important part of what we do. So we do want to be your partners in that.
And I was just going to touch on that. I mean, and we as JLL use your programs all the time, whether it's directly through Con Edison or we're using NYSERDA programs. A lot of times people say, I was talking about how an energy model sometimes is important and how I can't afford an energy model, but an energy model is really important to look at your space. Well, I'm not sure Con Edison, and you can let me know later, but I know NYSERDA will pay half the cost of the energy model, and if you implement certain measures, they pay 100% of the cost. So it takes the burden off of the person, and Con Edison and NYSERDA have great incentives. We use them and partner with them all the time.
I just wanted an example of the kind of impact you can have in a simple retrofit. I had been involved in creating a office space on Fifth Avenue in about 2007. We used the most energy efficient lighting you could possibly use in 2007. In 2013, the client came back and said, I've got to rearrange my departments. Take a look at my lighting and see what you can do. We did an energy model, and we were able to save 60% of the electrical use in their space by changing out their light fixtures and in implementing new controls. 20% was from the controls alone. There was a huge impact, very simple things. There was a huge impact in the fact that it used to be that the cleaning crews would come in, turn the lights on, and leave them on all night long.
Absolutely.
With the occupancy sensors, the cleaning crews could walk in, the lights would come on, they'd walk out, the lights would go off. That had a huge impact. Who knew? But 60% in just a few years is awesome.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot you can really do.
Absolutely, that's very important. I'm glad you brought that up, but that's the importance. Like, that's what people don't see. They're making an investment, but what are they saving on the long run? And that's very important. People leave their lights on all the time. It's crazy.
Well, you had to go back here a long way. I hope I make this worth your while. So.
I can't see you back there.
Okay. I'm just a little bit curious. In New York City, you have benchmarking laws, like
Of
Local
course.
Law 84 and
Yes.
Local 87. Maybe, James, this speaks to your point, too, about programs that are available.
Absolutely.
Do you guys ever intersect with that? Is that information useful to you? And do you see anything on the horizon or that already exists in other cities and areas in the country?
New York City is great. That's what I just mentioned. We partner all the time with Con Edison and NYSERDA. They're great partners with us. We're always trying to find money for our clients. It's free money. It's great to help them do their projects. So absolutely. New York City, they have a lot of, laws and regulations coming in their new codes. And so that's how this is happening. It's the partnership with Con Edison and NYSERDA. That's what's helping these existing building owners, help to fund some of this, whether it's the energy model, whether it's actually, helping, maybe it's a cent per square footage of this, but no, the Con Edison and NYSERDA have been great partners in this. And if anything, we just need more of it to help, building owners be able to meet the demands of what we need to do, as a city of the city of New York and as a state for New York as well.
Excellent presentation. I'm already dreaming about how I can work with JLL on my little apartment and breathe like pure air.
Thank you.
How many of your clients are interested in the Sustainable Sites certification, which is the Green Business Council's landscape pairing of the LEED certification? It's outside of the buildings.
Right. I have to say that's probably newer. We haven't had a lot of requests, but as you can see, the GBC has come out with a lot of things. Like, there's a neighborhood development, and actually one of my JLL colleagues over here, she has a project that is going to be, it is a LEED. It already is. Okay, for neighborhood development. So a lot of the great things like you're mentioning is sometimes the USGBC pilots these, and then until people start using them, then you start becoming aware. And before when LEED version 4 came out, and we were like, what's a LEED for neighborhood development? How can we get points for it if nobody's doing it? So I'm glad that there is one closer, because I think when this first came out last year, there was maybe 20 sites. So in your question, I think it's just, we're always talking about being very specific with a client, what is, what is out there.
Wait 1 second.
This just has not come up yet, but definitely important. A lot of great things, but if there's something specific you want to talk about later, please, feel free to follow up with me.
So I just want to mention one thing before Chris walks out the door. Just to tap into what you had asked before about Hrisa, one of the goals for bringing JLL here today is to stand as an example. Westchester County buildings, there's a lot of buildings, there's a Platinum Mile, and we've got a long way to go in our buildings as far as compared to New York City. So what we look at, I think there's a huge opportunity here. So one thing the Green Business Partnership tries to do is to work with organizations, both tenants and landlords, and we do have a pretty rigorous greenhouse gas emissions inventory tool, so they're getting into the weeds of the types of things that that JLL is doing at that next level. And many of our companies have gone on and taken the first steps and then moved on to LEED and moved on to other certifications. So we've got a room full of people here who are very influential and in real estate. And I think that just knowing that our goal is to get this moving, in Westchester, to kind of, get up to these kinds of standards. I think it's just, not negative, it's positive. We have a big opportunity. So I just wanted to, and, any help that anybody can bring to that, we're open to that. Getting my access.
And as you're working your way over, I was going to say too, Westchester, so many cities, in New York too, are trying to do great things. And even, I 6 years ago left from, New York side and went to the Jersey side, and I'm in Jersey City. And I was just excited to see, when cities really take this on. Like Jersey City has, a sustainability director, and I went to one of the meetings because I wanted to see what the city that I live in does, and it's just really amazing. And people are asking for things, so things are happening. Newark is changing. Edgewater is changing. So many big changes. We had developers that were building warehouses that never even thought about doing anything sustainable, and then all of a sudden they're coming to us. They're like, you know what? These big corporations want my building to be LEED certified, and it's not. What can I do now? Or what can I do for the next building I'm building? So it's people asking for it, and that's how towns and cities are changing. So I just wanted to add, I see it myself too, and I think it's fantastic.
I don't want to throw Con Ed under the bus. I just have a few questions for them. With Indian Point, well, with Indian Point coming offline, there's huge energy requirements that will be here in the next few years. I've been involved in NYSERDA programs where the geothermal wells are no longer a tax credit. So now you've taken a big piece of sustainability and green programs and taken the subsidy away that obviously will hurt the installation of it. In addition, on a lot of the residential solar programs, the net metering, they don't pay the same amount, or they limit the size of the payment back to the net metering client. So I'm just wondering, the overall organization, how you politically connect, or if they do, I don't know enough about it, the organization, because the Fed side, the state side is a critical component to make the sustainability, make a transition to green energy.
So, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
The programs that we offer, we don't get to decide totally on our own. We put together recommendations of programs that we see advancing and that people are looking for and would like to see sustained. A lot of probably solar programs and incentives that you saw to begin with was really to encourage people to start to sometimes you have to give a lot more encouragement in the early entry of a program. But then at a certain point, when it becomes, it takes on, there is not the same incentives. The incentives is to get the program going. But we don't get to do any of our programs. You should know it. We can't just decide on our own. We are regulated, so anything we do has to go in front of the Public Service Commission for approval. So there's back and forth in what we can and are allowed to do. And that's why some of you might have taken advantage of programs that we've had and they no longer exist because they're time limited. So that's the other reason that you have to always talk to us. Programs are coming out new all the time. So unfortunately, we'd like to keep them all going, but can't sustain them all.
So it's 10 o'clock, and so all the rest of this great conversation is just going to have to happen organically. Hrisa, thank you so much. This was absolutely amazing. Come back.
Thank you. Thank you,
She
everyone.
drove here from Jersey City, so you know that that's not the quickest drive up to Westchester.
It was
so.
actually not bad though, so it was pretty good. But thank you everybody for having me. Thank you, Danny,
Yeah.
and thank you, Meg, for starting.
And Meg, thank you.
Holidays. Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really great. Thank you.
It was good.
You covered all the topics. Perfect.